What's up, Lions? For as little as $5 a month, you can help this show to grow, while also getting access to our exclusive Pride content, which includes shows like Conspiracy Corner, Degenerate Gamblers, special interviews, Lions of Liberty roundtables, and much, much more. So check that out. Help us grow at lionsofliberty.com/support.
The LNC is here to enable our candidates. Stop it. You know what I mean? Then that's what I'm talking about, these battles for infamy. They take the front seat to our candidates, and that's not how the LNC was meant to work.
Welcome to the Lions of Liberty podcast. Here's your host, your guide, your shining beacon of liberty, Marc Claire.
What's up, buckaroos? It is another Monday, which means it's another episode of the original, the OG, baby, the flagship Lions of Liberty podcast that I founded about, 4.5 years or so ago. This is actually the 342nd edition of that program, which means that you can find today's show notes over at lionsofliberty.com/342. But it's not just me. This program has evolved so much over the years. I was so happy to be able to start to include my good friends in Liberty, Brian McWilliams and John Odermatt, as a part of the show. And a part of the show they are. Brian, of course, delivers to you his weekly shot of comedy, culture, and liberty every single Wednesday on Electric Liberty Land, while John wraps things up every Friday with his weekly look at the broken criminal justice system on Felony Friday. You got to make sure you get all these shows. The best way to do that is to hit that subscribe button, whether it's in iTunes, Stitcher, whatever podcatcher you use. Subscribe, baby. That's what it's all about, to hear all the great content we produce here each and every week at Lions of Liberty. But enough about all that business stuff. Let's just get to today's guest. All right, my guest today is a candidate for the chairmanship of the Libertarian National Committee. I'm speaking with, well, I was going to say the one and only, but I'm guessing there's more than one of you out there in the world. Pleased to speak to Joshua Smith. Joshua, are you ready to roar?
I'm always ready.
That's a good answer, because you're going to need to be always ready. And I know you've been out there busting your hump and hitting the pavement, so to speak, hitting the air, and really meeting people to try to gain yourself this chairmanship. And we'll talk about a little bit about why you're running for the chairmanship of the Libertarian National Committee in just a minute. But first, I want to get to know you a little bit better. So, Joshua, why don't you just start off telling us a little bit more about how you got into politics and how you got interested in libertarian ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I served in the United States military. I was in the Navy. I worked on board the USS Constellation. I joined it in 2001, beginning of 2002 maybe, and I was on board the USS Constellation in the Persian Gulf when George Bush declared war in Iraq. And here I am, a young kid, 18, 19 years old, who joined the military because of 9/11, and I thought I was going to protect my family and my friends and the country. And so I joined the military, and we went to war with Iraq, which had nothing to do with 9/11. I was really confused. We were a really big part of the shock and awe campaign. In fact, probably the biggest part of the shock and awe campaign. For people who don't know what that is, we essentially just dropped tons and tons of ordnance on Baghdad. I watched our aircraft leave the flight deck every single day, full ordnance, come back empty all day long.
And that was basically the intent of that was, it seems to me, more psychological warfare. Obviously, there's the physical warfare involved in it, but the intent was to create so much destruction that this war ends so quickly just because of they've damaged the psyche of the populace so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And as libertarians and as people who have served in the military that are now geared for liberty, we know that this war in the Middle East has been going on for 27 years or longer, and it's time to come home. But at the time, I didn't know better. I was a young kid. I was, very nationalistic. I really wanted to, protect the country that I'm from and our freedoms. And so, partaking in that really opened my eyes. I saw the wasteful spending and the loss of human life, innocent human lives on both sides. And when I got home, I was really, really jaded. And I was a registered Republican, and I didn't have a voice in politics. I didn't see a home on the right or left. I didn't see anybody fighting for the causes that really meant something to me. That the biggest cause being, non-interventionist. At the time, I didn't even know that term. So I believe I was in a bar. It had to be 2007. I'm in a bar. I'm watching the TV, and Ron Paul comes on. And you're going to be hard pressed to find someone in our generation who didn't come to Liberty by way of Ron Paul. It's very hard to find. They do exist.
It's the number one most common answer of guests that come on this program, except for, some of the old school folks like Walter Block. He didn't learn it from Ron Paul, but most of the people like in our generation, I mean, most of them, almost all of them actually cite Ron Paul.
Yeah, I actually had Walter Block on my show, and man, he just talked about Murray Rothbard the whole time. It was really cool.
He's a blast.
But I watched Ron Paul speaking, and it was like he was literally, speaking my feelings to Congress. And so I just really took to that campaign, and I rallied hard behind Ron Paul, 2008, 2012. But at some point in 2010-ish, I was watching Adam Kokesh videos, and Adam will tell you that this isn't how I heard about the Libertarian Party because he wasn't talking about it in 2010, but I'm almost positive that I heard about the Libertarian Party through the activism of Adam Kokesh. I'm a big fan of this guy. He was a veteran against the Iraq War, and he's dancing at the Jefferson Memorial and getting arrested and doing all this crazy activism stuff, and he really ramped me up and got me ready to be a grassroots activist who fought for these causes. But I heard about the Libertarian Party, so I joined it. I was in California at the time, and I never found a direction for my activism through the party. So after 3 months, I left the party and continued my own brand of activism, with the publications, and I've worked on some campaigns and word of mouth stuff. And I don't know how many people I brought to the ideology and also to the party, but I can't count it on two hands anymore. That's for sure.
What was it about the party at the time with your initial involvement there that something wasn't syncing up with you? It just didn't feel like whether it was, your reception or just the organization, or it wasn't just, why was it not a proper outfit for you at the time?
I think at the time I didn't see the Ron Paul revolution in there. I didn't see this anti-war, vehement anti-war movement that I was looking for. I had joined National, and they didn't help. They didn't help me find. At the time, I didn't know there was a state affiliate. I didn't know that there was a county affiliate. And this is a story as old as time for the party. A lot of people, they join National. They send in their money every month. They get a card and a newsletter once a month, and they don't know that there's a state affiliate. They don't know that there's local candidates they can be working on their campaigns. And I didn't. So I didn't find what I was looking for. Now I know, that these things are really important to us because we're a ground up, we're a bottom up structured organization for a reason. And at the time I wasn't like a big philosophy guy, but I started reading Murray Rothbard and F.A. Hayek and David Bose and all these people, from the Cato Institute and the Mises Institute. And I really got into economics, which, is a big part of our philosophy. One of the biggest parts of our philosophy. And so that really, really drove the point home. And I really just stayed an activist. And then I found the party. I moved to Washington a while back, a couple of years ago, and I got with the party here in Washington, and I found a cohesive grassroots organization that was busting their backs to spread liberty. They're up here in Olympia lobbying against new taxes at the Capitol, and they're working on campaigns, and they actually donate money to their candidates. It's insane. And so
that seems like a logical thing that you would think almost every state party would be doing, but I guess from your tone, I'm guessing that's not the case.
Yeah, we don't do a lot for our candidates, especially not the National Party, and that's, was one of the very big reasons why I chose to run. But that's been my foray into politics. That's how I got to where I am today. As a member of the Libertarian Party of Washington, I saw a really hardworking, and being part of the SEC here, I saw a really hardworking leadership team. And then I looked to national, and I saw a national leadership team that wasn't reflecting their peers. They weren't showing their respect for the hardworking ground level activists in the state and local parties. And so that's what drove me to announce that I would be running for chair. I thought, I have this vision. I have these great people that I'm working with. I know a map to get us to be more successful. So I'm going to put my ideas out there, and I'm going to battle in the arena of ideas and hope that this works, And so that's how I got here, and the support that I've got, it has been humbling, and the gratitude I have for those people is immeasurable. So.
All right, now I got to ask, I'm not trying to stir the pot too much, but maybe a little bit. To what extent did the current chairman, Nicholas Sarwark, influence your decision to run? Because I do remember when I first heard about you, I saw a meme out there, and you know what I'm talking about, when there's a couple incidents of controversy, I would say, generated by both Nicholas Sarwark as well as, Arvin Vora at different points this year. And I remember at one point I saw, which I love that Nick said this, he said, if people are out there that don't like what I'm doing, don't like the way I'm running the party don't like my messaging, I welcome you to get involved, become a delegate, show up in New Orleans, and vote me out. And I think you posted a meme with that quote and then with a picture of you saying, challenge accepted or something to that effect. So did Nicholas Sarwark's sort of actions and commentary, did they directly inspire you to run for the chairmanship, or were you already did you already have this idea brewing beforehand?
Yeah, no, I would be lying if I said that it didn't. I used to be a Sarwark fan. I did. His little speech where he gave the, your party, your tears are delicious and your parties will die. That was inspiring.
Amazing.
It was beautiful, and I was a big Sarwark fanboy. But over the last year, it's been really hard for a lot of people who are on the ground working. It has been, with these constant battles for infamy as opposed to how can we help our candidates? How can we help our state and local leaders? How can we do this? It's how can we inflame our own movement today? And that's coming from Arvin Vohra and Nicholas Sarwark. And if anybody thinks it's not coming from Nicholas Sarwark, I implore you to look at this really cool message that he put out yesterday about how he supports, a walkout and march, to tell the government to take more of our rights. I remember just a year ago, he was going around the movement trying to get people to sign a petition denouncing the rights march with their tiki band the tiki Taliban, and he was denouncing people who wouldn't sign his petition. Well, those people were marching to use state force to take our rights. And the march yesterday was no different. So, I saw this inconsistency in principle across the board. And yeah, absolutely. That was, my first campaign, my first intent to run statement. Literally, it said, let's make the LP the party of principle once more. And that's the most important thing to me, is that we need to let people know who we are, and we need to show them that we're principled and we're going to stay consistent, because there is, first of all, half the country isn't voting right now. They're just not. And the other half of the country, most of them are looking for a new party, and they're starting to wake up and realize that the right and the left are the same party. We are the second party, but we can't kowtow. Is it kowtow? Yeah. We can't do that. We can't do that and expect to get those people over on our side, because they can just stay registered in their old parties that way, But I also don't think we need to take it to an extreme and Arvin Vohra everyone and inflame them to the point where they want to punch us, So yeah, that absolutely had a lot to do with it. Nick, he's done a lot of good things for the party. I think it's time for new blood. I think it's time for a new vision and a new direction.
Do you think that there is? I guess, what do you think the intent of the current messaging that seems to come from Nick Sarwark and Arvin Vohra? Do you think that they are just have a different idea about how to go about reaching out to people, or what do you think their purpose is? Obviously, if you disagree with their approach.
Yeah, I don't know. It's basically like conspiracy theories at this point. It's like, are they so apathetic to their own positions and membership that they're trying to get fired, or
you could just not run if that was
yeah, well,
exactly.
Well, and then there's there's this other conspiracy theory I heard the other day that they're actually trying to push away all the people who wouldn't vote for them at national, which I think is, it seems legit if you think about it. If you watch the messaging that's coming out of the upper echelon of national right now, you start coming up with these conspiracy theories because it's insane. It's asinine. We can't run our organization this way and continue and hope to grow. We just can't do it. And so, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know the expressed intent. I know that yesterday Nick stated that his intent with the messaging he put out yesterday in support of, kids walking out of school was to get people in the door. And someone called him out on it and said, is that to get someone in the door who's unprincipled and then hope to teach them principles later? And he said, yes, that's exactly the point. And that really didn't set right with me. I think we need to make sure that we put our principles at the front so people know when they're coming in the door, hey, this is what we stand for. You guys are more than welcome to check us out and hang out. But just know at the end of the day, these are the principles this party was not only founded on, but the ideology was built around. And so make sure that you know what's going on, Right. So I'm not a big fan of being the lying salesman. I want to be honest and truthful with people and give a consistent message that sparks people's fire.
So obviously the role of the chairman is to do more than, make statements on social media and put out memes and that sort of thing. So what do you see the role of the Libertarian National Committee chairman to be? What should the main focus of that position be?
I think that should be coming up with solutions to further the, public policy and liberty. I think, we're running a $60,000 deficit currently in the National Party of fiscal responsibility, which is insane. So I think, that the chair needs to be looking for solutions all the time, constantly, and how to make the party better, how to grow coalitions. It's something that I'm already working on, is growing coalitions with the crypto community. I'm reaching out to these guys from Nexus and the private space community and stuff like this. These are people who don't have a political home, and they're looking for a chair that is going to fight for their causes, and these are very libertarian causes. So I think they really need to focus on, coalition building, candidate growth and enablement is really, really important. We need to build a base for our candidates. We can't just expect these candidates to pick up one day and go run. You know what I mean? They do it, but it's like they go out there blind. We don't have any educational material for them on how to, get volunteers and raise funds and door knock and cold call. And we don't give them the tools that they need. They don't know what they're doing. And so I want to implement an educational program into the National Media Hub that is something along the lines of Libertarian Leadership Program, or Libertarian Leadership Academy that Michael Pickens created. Something that gives them all those tools so they can have time to focus on their message when they're running, because at the end of the day, right now, the most important thing for our candidates is the message, because that's how we're going to further public policy here, and so I think that, and then also media attention. I think that's really, really huge. That's something that's personal for me. Another one of the reasons why I ran was the huge ball drops in Montana with the Marc Wicks campaign, and the huge ball drop in Alabama with the Ron Bishop write-in campaign, where he's running against Roy Moore. And we all know who Roy Moore is. And Ron Bishop was a write-in candidate for the Libertarian Party there. Special election. We had nothing else to focus on. The entire nation's media has descended on Alabama. And Ron Bishop could have got the state of Alabama ballot access for the Libertarians had he gotten a certain amount of votes.
Even as a write-in, that would have qualified? Yeah,
I believe so. And so here's the thing. What did we do as a national leadership team to help that cause? We put out a meme and a reminder to vote. That's all we did. That's it. And so I've talked pretty extensively about wanting to create a media hit squad, have a couple people around the country that are ready to send on these media opportunities, call a press conference, put out a press release, get on the steps of the Capitol when all the nation's media is there, and let people know they have another option, because the media has no vested interest in the Libertarian Party. They don't care about us. We don't get on the ballot half the time. We're not in the debates. They don't care. We have to go and take that media, or we continue to lose. So that's something that I think the chair really needs to focus on is media, and it doesn't have to be me. I have no problem getting on the news and talking to people, but we can have 4 or 5 people that are just ready to go, And so, yeah, I think the candidate education growth and helping to really shape our ground level activism, and then the media and the coalition building. Those are like my 4 main areas of focus. And I think the chair should really worry about that. And then obviously, running a meeting and running a convention is going to be really important. And everyone's, so preoccupied with Robert's rules, which is fine. I get it.
Everyone loves those rules and those points of order and
rules, right? No. So at the end of the day, and I have not made this a secret. When we have LNC meetings, we're going to sit down, we're going to crack a beer. We're going to go over the email list, and then I'm going to ask everyone, what can we do for our candidates over the next 3 months? How can we further our cause? That's what I want to hear. I don't want to sit there and have a vote on the color of towels at the national headquarters for an hour. It's a waste of time, and it's wasting resources that we should be putting into our candidates and into our affiliates. And so, yeah, I mean, when it comes to leading a meeting, that's what my meetings are going to look like.
Well, you had me at crack a beer, to be honest.
As I thought I would, Mark.
What are your thoughts regarding strategy at the national level when it comes to candidates? Now, there seems to be some differing philosophies. I mean, some people believe we should just have as many candidates as possible at every level and support them equally. And I think there's others that feel like you should focus on some very, very select resources. And there are those that believe you should focus on some very, very specific races and try to pour all the resources into those to really build attention, such as like the Marc Wicks campaign, or more recently the Drew Gray Miller campaign. I think that was a great opportunity to get some focus, and he actually did end up getting a decent amount of national attention with how close the result was. So do you fall on one side or the other when it comes to that, or do you think there's kind of a happy middle ground there?
Yeah, I think there's a happy balance. I think these special elections are important to us because there's nothing else going on. That Drew, I had the opportunity to meet Drew when I was in Pennsylvania 2 weeks ago. The guy was amazing. He's an amazing candidate. Anybody who meets him knows he's going to be an amazing candidate. He's got a very, very, very bright future with this party and with this movement. And National, I think they put out 2 emails. during his campaign. This gentleman, Drew Gray Miller, has probably, just from the media that I've seen, has probably got more earned media as a libertarian than any candidate I've seen.
Yeah, he was
outside.
just on Kennedy recently, right after the election.
Yeah, he's been on Fox News several times. I mean, he's great, and we did nothing. We really, in my opinion, we didn't do anything. And so, yeah, absolutely.
Well, why don't we kind of use this case as an example? I mean, what if you were national chair right now? I mean, during that campaign, what would you specifically do differently, like in the case of the Drew Miller campaign and in the weeks leading up to the election?
Well, and I actually tried to do some stuff now. So right. I put out a video blog, and called for help and asked people, gave his volunteer link. I know he got at least one volunteer, but I think we need to be putting out calls to action and getting people involved. We are the party of activists. There's no reason that we shouldn't be getting 100 people doing calls for someone like Drew Gray Miller, and you don't have to live in Pennsylvania to be calling for Drew Gray Miller. And, I think we could have done a lot more. We could have, helped, like I said, press releases. We could have tried to contact media for him, tried to get him in front of more people, tried to find, there's all kinds of help we can do that doesn't even cost money. That's all these people, whenever I talk about this, are like, oh, well, we don't have the money for that. Well, I know that. No, duh. But that's not what's the most important thing right now. What the most important thing is that we get people help and volunteers. So that would be a big focus for me, is trying to, especially in these special elections, is trying to get people volunteers, more help. That's what they need. They need people that are going to go door knock for them and phone bank for them and let the people in his district know they have another option, and it's probably the better option.
Right, I mean, it seems like there's got to be a way, and I haven't really seen it for the Libertarian Party, of rallying the base, like the true libertarian base out there in times like this, when there is a special election or when there is a campaign that might have a specifically unique circumstance or a specific reason, like in the Roy Moore case, where there's just a lot of attention on it, to really go hog wild and rally everybody that is really principled on these issues. And I mean, maybe there are things behind the scenes I don't know. I'm not there, and I don't want to pass judgment, but from what I have seen, I don't see anything like that coming from the Libertarian Party itself. I've seen excitement around these campaigns. There was a lot of excitement around Drew Gray Miller, but it came from Drew. It came from him generating the excitement, and a lot of the people around him. I mean, I know he's familiar with John Odermatt, one of the hosts that I know you met him at the Libertarian Convention in Pennsylvania as well. I mean, and he's the one that sent him to my show, so we were able to get him on the show and spread that around a bit, and he got a lot of attention, like you said, on cable news, but it didn't seem like the Libertarian Party had anything to do with that. If anything, the Libertarian Party got more attention because of Drew Gray Miller.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Drew Gray Miller brought more attention to the Libertarian Party than the Libertarian Party brought to him. Absolutely 100%. And I'm tired of seeing that. That's something that I've been tired of seeing. And yeah, we didn't do enough. We just didn't. We dropped the ball again, and it's constant. Like I said, he might be one of the best candidates I've seen in my lifetime for our party. And we sent out 2 emails. That's not going to rally the troops. We need to let people know, hey, we have this awesome candidate running in Pennsylvania. Everyone go watch this video and then ask me how you can help. That's what we need to do. We need to rally people. And that's why I'm so happy. Here's a big problem as well, is a lot of people in the movement aren't happy with current leadership, and so while Drew Gray Miller is out there campaigning, we have leadership arguing over, a post on Facebook or a Tide Pod post or talking about age of consent laws. It's like, this isn't what we're for. The LNC is here to enable our candidates. Stop it. You know what I mean? Then that's what I'm talking about. These battles for infamy, they take the front seat to our candidates, and that's not how the LNC was meant to work.
My name is Dale Kearns, and I'm running for United States Senate in Pennsylvania as a Libertarian. I'm a concerned citizen who has had enough. I work as a project manager for an electrical contractor in southeastern Pennsylvania. There I manage large commercial and industrial projects. I'm a husband and a father of 2 energetic little girls. I'm running to advocate for a society where my girls have more liberty, not less. Will you support our campaign? Unlike my competitors, I'm not a career politician. I don't have millionaire and billionaire donors. I'm running for Senate in Pennsylvania because I want to take the message to Washington that we want government out of our lives. Will you let me be your voice? Let me be the voice that says, we will not walk quietly down the road to serfdom. The voice that says we need free market solutions. The voice that says we need to end the failed war on drugs. The voice who will fight for the forgotten man, non-violent offenders wasting away in prison, and addicts who are afraid to speak up and seek the help they need. We are seeking members for our campaign team. I encourage you to apply. We need donations to help us spread the message of liberty across the state. We can go on hoping for liberty to happen, or we can fight together. I hope you choose the latter and join me today. Find out more at dalekearns.com.
Paid for by Dale Kearns for office.
Joshua, if you became chairman, what would be your strategy when it comes to, I mean, we've already discussed how you would rally that libertarian base and your ideas when it comes to candidates, people that are already active and already want to be involved in the party. But obviously, at the end of the day, if the Libertarian Party is going to grow and become something more, you're going to need to interest a lot of more people in the party and in the ideas of liberty. So what would be your strategy and your thoughts as chairman about how you would go about that using the specific vehicle of the Libertarian Party to generate more interest in the party itself, but maybe more importantly, not maybe, definitely more importantly, the ideas of liberty overall?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've talked a little bit about a consistent message of liberty. I think that's really, really important. Like, Ron Paul just wrote about this. There's a whole younger generation of people who are interested in a third party. Well, the real question here is we're not a third party. We're the second party, and we know that. But we have to show that we're the second party. We have to let these people understand that we are different from the two old parties, but we don't have to be inflammatory. Like, we got one person in leadership that's trying to kind of seems to want to make us like the old parties, and one person in leadership that kind of wants to inflame everyone so badly far away from the old parties that they don't want to join ours. And I think that if we can find that consistent message, principled message of liberty, that's going to help bring a lot of people to our cause, and it's going to keep people from leaving, which is important. And I've talked about this quite a few other interviews. Since January of last year to August of last year, we had a 24% net loss of memberships. That's insane. And yeah, it's a lot. It was over 4,000 national members just dropped off, and 2,000 of those people were just in the month of August alone. And this is the month that Nick was going to war with the Ludwig von Mises Institute. And this is the same month that Arvin started talking about all soldiers being murderers, and then they want to make excuses. Well, it was an election year and these people are leaving. No, people are leaving because they don't want to stay with the party. And so I think we really need to create a viable political home for people. And this is what when I start talking about coalitions, I think that's really, really important that we build these coalitions, because if we can build a coalition with the crypto community, that's millions of people. Millions. And these are people who are fighting every day for decentralized currency. I mean, they are circumventing the Fed already. And that's a very libertarian cause. So I believe. And
a lot of those people have that money we were talking about. They're going to need to grow.
Exactly. And if they see a party, a viable home for their causes that is fighting and lobbying for their causes, they're going to join and they're going to help. I've already talked to several, big whales in the community, and they said, look, if this is how it's going to be, if this is how you're going to run it, what can I do? I've had them donate to my campaign and help me travel around. And I've probably made more off cryptocurrency for my campaign in the last 10 weeks than National has received in Bitcoin donations, because I think they received $5,000 this year in Bitcoin donations. And I saw Daniel Hayes go on live video and start yelling at people. Where's it at? Where's the crypto donations at? I don't see it. Well, maybe it's because you guys are not building those coalitions. You're not giving them this home that they're seeking, so they don't want to give you their Bitcoin. You know what I mean? It's going to be worth more money in 10 weeks anyways.
Yeah,
so,
no one really likes to be badgered for money typically. That's people you need people that want to give money because they want to, for whatever reasons, whether they support the direction, they support the mission, they support the principles, or what have you.
You have to give them a reason. You have to give them a reason. And we're not giving them reasons. We're not giving anyone reasons to join the party right now. The majority of what I see every day is giving people reasons to leave. And I see a lot of people that are okay with that. But there's a lot of people that are not okay with that. And those are the people who are supporting me. So, yeah, I mean, outside of that, I've talked pretty heavily about upgrading our technology. I want to do omni-channel marketing campaigns. I want it to be seamless across all platforms. I really want to start doing video blogs. I'd like to see all the LNC members do video blogs and update everybody at least, on a monthly basis of what's going on, what we're doing, how we're going to further our party, how we're helping our candidates. And I'd like to see a national podcast created. Our Facebook page has 800,000 followers. We put out a good podcast, a solid national libertarian podcast. We could do some big things with that.
How is that not already a thing?
Yeah, I don't know. But if you
I'm sitting here waiting by the phone, waiting for the LNC to give me a call, and that's just such an obvious thing to to be doing right now because, I mean, podcasting is so huge. And there are so many great libertarian podcasts. I'm not even one of the top ones that I'm talking about, but I mean, that are out there and reaching new people. I mean, I've seen the Jason Stapleton program, Part of the Problem with Dave Smith, this program. I have firsthand heard accounts from our fans of people that went from not knowing anything about this stuff to becoming excited libertarians. So now it's about finding those people, getting those people excited, perhaps getting them involved in the Libertarian Party, but it's really the party that should be leading that charge.
Mark, let me ask you this. As a podcaster, with a fairly successful podcast, I might add. Thank you.
Doing all right. Thanks.
How much bigger do you think your podcast would be right now if you started with 800,000 followers?
Oh, are you kidding me? Like, it's immeasurable.
You'd be competing with Adam Carolla right now.
We have been, we built this thing from the ground up. We started with 0 followers and just through word of mouth and, trying to get the word out and really organic marketing in many ways. Now I spent years on blogs on the Daily Paul, just building my cachet up, so to speak, so that when I did launch this podcast, there was sort of somewhat of a built-in audience. And then from there, it's just 4 or 5 years of just hammering away. If we had 800,000 Facebook likes, my God, and did the same kind of hammering away, I mean, I can't even comprehend where we'd be right now.
And this is the kind of stuff we have to come into the, this is the digital age, my friend.
And it's not expensive to do a podcast, especially.
No, it's not.
I would do it for free.
I would do it for free. As chair of the party, I would sit down once a week and do it for free. I have no problem doing that, especially with the programs we have now. We can get the whole LNC on through Zencaster in 5 minutes. Everybody buys a $100 cheap mic and we're ready to go. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, there's all these processes and they're not even going to cost us more resources. It's things that we could be doing now that we're just not. And so I think that's going to be the path to bringing more people to liberty.
And just imagine if you actually got podcasters themselves / ourselves more interested in this, you would have podcasters that have built-in audiences volunteering to help with the podcast, volunteering to, get more involved in this sort of thing. I mean, is that part of your idea as well? Bringing in, I mean, this is part of the mission of the Mises Caucus, who I know they've endorsed you. Our friend Michael Heiss, I've talked to him quite a few times, and I know his big concept is bringing in all these libertarian names, these libertarian people with followings, and trying to get them involved in the party. The Scott Hortons, the Tom Woodses, the Ron Pauls, the people that have followings totally unrelated to the political aspect, and then trying to envelop it all into this party to some extent. I mean, and those by far are the most excited people, the people that are the most interested in talking about, literally, because it's what we do. We sit here and talk about the ideas of liberty. I mean, do you kind of align with that concept of trying to get the sort of apolitical? I'm not apolitical, but I'm not involved politically in any way other than, interviewing people involved in politics. I mean, of getting that kind of person directly more involved with the party.
Mark, that's called networking, and it's one of the most important things an organization can do if we're failing at it. Absolutely. We have to network. We have to coalition build. It's so important to our cause. And for 46 years, outside of maybe the first 10 years, I think that ball has been dropped. And yeah, absolutely. Networking is going to be huge. Coalition building is going to be huge. And we're going to try to bring in people that already have a built-in base. And those built-in base people are hopefully going to see our cause and see that we're working hard for their causes. And hopefully they'll join too. And you can't start an army with one person. It doesn't work that way. You got to get some people in. And as much as we hate the word collectivism in this ideology, people got to work together to
as long as it's voluntary.
Yeah, it's as long as it's voluntary. It's totally voluntary. You don't have to do it, but we would appreciate if you would come and help us fight the battlefield of ideas. That'd be great.
All right, Joshua. Well, I'm going to let you give right now your final pitch to anyone listening, whether they're not sure if they want to even be involved in the final process or be involved in the party or what have you. Why should people out there consider either supporting you, sending you money, or if they're someone who may become a delegate at the National Libertarian Convention, why should they consider showing up at that convention and voting for Joshua Smith as LNC chair?
I'll tell you, Mark, the main reason that people should come and vote for me for chair for the LNC is that I have a real vision for this party. I have a pathway to help us become more successful. I'm surrounded by people every day that feel the same and they have the same vision. And I've met thousands of people either online or at these state conventions who want the same things. I only am running to give this party back to our hardworking activists. And at the end of the day, that's what I'm going to do, whether I'm the chair of the party or not. So you should come out, help me get that platform, and hopefully, help us with our cause.
All right. Well, Joshua Smith, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you, and I know my audience is going to enjoy getting to know you as well. So I wish you the best of luck with everything you're doing. Keep up the great work. Keep on roaring, man.
Hey, thank you, man. I promise I will.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed my conversation there with Joshua Smith. And, I don't really have a dog in the fight of the LNC chairmanship. I'm not going to be at the Libertarian Convention in New Orleans. Most likely. It's possible. I know John Odermatt is going to try to get there. I've just got too much going on in that time period. We're going to be at Pork Fest just the week before that. Thanks to our members of the Lions of Liberty Pride. Of course, do plan to cover the event. We're hoping maybe some other Lions will be there doing some stuff for us. We'll get maybe some interviews from the scene. We'll get your coverage in one way or the other. But point being, I look very much at the Libertarian Party as, I'd say, as an interested spectator. I don't have necessarily a candidate that I root for any certain position, although there are certainly people I like that are heavily involved in the party, people I think that have some great spirit and great ideas. I would like to host some debates with some of the candidates for the LNC chairmanship. Of course, Nicholas Sarwark is also running, as well as Alicia Dern and a couple other folks, and I think those are really honestly the three main candidates, however. So I'd like to do something closer to the convention with a few of them, as well as for the vice chairmanship. Now, there's a lot of people with a lot of ideas, and at the end of the day, no matter what you might think of any of these candidates who might be running for this or any position within the Libertarian Party, the fact of the matter is these are all people who work hard for the ideas of liberty. Now, maybe we don't agree with every single person running on every single issue. That would be nearly impossible. But for the most part, these are good people working hard through what they see as one possible avenue to change our society, to change the way we look at each other, to change the way we interact with our fellow man, to change the way we look at the government. That was really the spirit of Ron Paul's campaign. And to me, that does seem to be a lot of the approach that Joshua Smith is taking to his run for the chairmanship. So I think he's certainly somebody to keep an eye on. I did want to do a one-on-one interview with him, since I already have had Alicia Dern and Nicholas Sarwark on this show individually in the past, but hoping to set up a debate. So that's what I'm going to try to do pretty soon. As you're listening to this, I am currently in New Orleans with our good friend and legal man of mystery, Rico. So who knows what we're getting into right now. Pride members will hopefully be hearing, if they haven't already, a special on-the-scene drunken podcast from me and Rico that we plan to do in our hotel room at some point. So check out for that. Of course, to join the Pride, as little as $5 a month gets you access to all the exclusive audio content we produce, with which is loads. Let me tell you, we have the Conspiracy Corner, probably our most popular bonus show, where we dive into all sorts of different conspiracies, from the very, very weird, like the flat earth theory, yes, we did touch on that in one, to the more, real stuff, like Waco and the Oklahoma City bombing. We really look at a lot of different aspects of a lot of different conspiracy theories out there. That's for Pride members only. Of course, we have our pretty much weekly Degenerate Gamblers podcast, which is really just mostly old stories from our college days and our silly lives here that people really seem to enjoy. We have so much content, especially bonus content like I did last week with Mary Ruwart, little extra segments with guests like her. We really work hard to make sure you get value for your dollar. So for as little as $5 a month, we certainly ask you, if you're a fan of the show, a fan of what we're doing, to consider joining the Pride, give up a cup of coffee, give up a beer every month, and help us spread these ideas of liberty. Folks, next week, I'm still going to be traveling for the next week or so everything you're going to hear is probably going to be mostly pre-recorded, except for some live stuff I do on the road or some things I might do on the fly. But I want to tell you right now about next week's interview, because it is a doozy. I was so excited to speak with Mr. Joel Salatin. A lot of you guys that are listeners of this show are fans of this guy. He's been a often requested guest. He's very well known in the farming community, the libertarian community, all sorts of communities, and he's really got a lot of interesting views, especially in regards to his take on dealing with the government as a farmer, as someone who approaches farming in a totally different way. And I think he's got some really interesting views that you guys are going to find fascinating. So be sure to tune in next week for my interview with Joel Salatin this coming Wednesday. Do not forget to tune back in to your weekly shot of comedy, culture, and liberty with Brian McWilliams and Electric Liberty Land. He's actually traveling as well right now as you're listening to this. He's in Japan, but he was able to put together a little special Electric Libertarians in Living Rooms Drinking Liquor. That's right. That's a little spin on the normal LILDL. The Electric Libertarians in Living Rooms Drinking Liquor. Try saying that 5 times fast, but that's what you're going to get on Wednesday. And of course, as always, John Odermatt will be bringing you another hard-hitting edition of Felony Friday this coming Friday. You got to hit that subscribe button to get them all, folks. It's the only way. Or you could just keep showing up and downloading them or coming to our website. I guess there are other ways, but we encourage hitting the subscribe button. We don't want you to miss anything. Folks, until next week, live long and live free.
Hey guys, this is Roger Paxton, and if you're fed up with the government running every single aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, then what's wrong with you? Check us out at thelavaflow.com, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every single episode.
This is Chris Spangle, and I am the host of We Are Libertarians, which you can find in iTunes, Google Play, or at wearelibertarians.com. We are a podcast that brings you all of the irreverence that modern politics deserves by examining current events from a libertarian perspective. So please, check us out at wearelibertarians.com.
Hey, Liberty Rockers, this is Johnny Rocket from the Johnny Rocket Launchpad. Each week, I strive to bring you the best guests in talk radio. The Johnny Rocket Launchpad delivers weekly interviews of noteworthy politicians, economists, and activists. The Johnny Rocket Launchpad is bringing the party to the Libertarian Party and launching ideas in your direction. Check it out at JohnnyRocketLaunchpad.com or find us on iTunes. Each show is action-packed, explicit, and a lot of fun. So join me at JohnnyRocketLaunchpad.com every week for the newest episode. Keep liberty alive and rock and roll.